Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
We are live from the Paul Carson studio. Donnie and Dolly on Check TV. We're going to go to Rogers Arena right now. The Canucks had a very short practice today, folks. 15 minutes. 15 minutes, that's it. You have been outscored 10-2 on home ice in the last two games. Ryan, who's filling in for Don, who's not here, who's at home, sick. You've been outscored 10-2, and you got a 15-minute practice today. Let's go and check out why only 15 minutes. We're going to hook up here with Patrick Johnston of the Vancouver Provinces. Yeah, Pat, are you there?
Ricky, you're flying solo like a man in Vegas. How's it going?
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I wasn't solo in Vegas that trip, though. I had tons of friends there. But anyways, I get your point. I'll never go back to Vegas. Never go back to Vegas. Evil city. Evil. Evil. Tell us about practice, Patty. What happened this morning?
I mean,
who's there? Who's not? The whole 9 yards.
Well, I would call Adelia is here as we expected.
Yep.
We're Hoaglander back on top line. I mean, it's kind of shuffling back to what we saw last week when the team was playing pretty well.
Yep.
It was a surprise to me, honestly, that they went away from it. Travis Dermott is finally back in regular jersey color, so maybe he's back. I guess we'll find out here pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, it's one of these ones like a Bruce Boudreau. People keep asking me, a Bruce Boudreau practice. I mean, they get out, they work on a bunch of stuff. Sounds like they haven't been as successful with their practices this week as they were last week. I mean, we heard Boudreau post game last night. I never know quite what to say. They have a practice, they do some stuff. You know, I mean, I suppose people emotionally want them to spend hours and hours and hours screaming and yelling, but that doesn't seem to be the Bruce Boudreau way in general.
Yeah, and we got a good text to the Delaney OK Tire and Langley inbox. Maybe they're doing a lot of video work today, Patty. Pat, there's a lot of questions about Stillman on defense. What are your thoughts on him getting in the lineup? I mean, he did get in after a week where he didn't play, but what's going on with this player in Vancouver?
I can't quite figure that one out. I mean, obviously, the Canucks added him with some hope, hoping that he was going to be, this sort of maybe hard-edged third pairing defenseman. But he played a lot of roles. I had a couple chats with him early in the season. Played a lot of roles in Chicago. Yeah. Was feeling good about the chance here, and he's had his chance, and he hasn't done enough. I mean, there's been too many turnovers. He handles the puck well enough, I guess, but when you're sort of being asked to play a shutdown role the way that Tyler Myers is being asked to play these days, you need a guy that can kind of handle that pressure, and it's not been him. And Kyle Burroughs, I don't understand how you ever go away from him anymore, and yet there they were last night going back to Stillman. And like I said, looks like Dermott is getting close.
Yeah.
Certainly skated as a full participant today, so even for Burroughs, that's probably going to he's going to fall down the pecking order. But, Kyle Burroughs is a good dude that way. Stillman's seems like a good guy. Like, I've had some chats, like I said. But, in the end, this is a player that Florida, in the end, wasn't terribly excited about. He ended up in Chicago and on a not very good team and was one of their worst defenders. So the fact it's been a struggle is not a surprise. The fact that Canucks have stuck with him for so long, I suppose it's to their credit to make sure that they actually wanted, or that they could actually confirm what he is, but what they found has not been good enough.
PJ, let me ask you, one of the big stories this week, Roberto Luongo, Ring of Honor, of course, next season. Did they get it right? The Canucks,
no,
that is.
I mean, I saw the guy you had on earlier. He's been yelling about it a lot. I don't have a lot to add to that.
He's been yelling in general, PJ. He's been yelling in general, let's be honest.
But the thing that I tweeted the other day was that this is kind of simple. I now that we've got, there are 4 Hall of Famers on the Canucks' list, that should be the standard. Everyone loves Stan Smyl. Everyone, a lot of people still love Trevor Linden. You can understand sort of the historic reasons for having them there. Marcus Naslund probably should be in Hall of Fame consideration. I don't think he's ever going to get there, but there was a guy who was probably the best player in the league for 2 or 3 years. Obviously, if they've done more in the playoffs, they hadn't had such a struggle in the regular season. He might be in the Hall of Fame too. But no, in the end, like how you don't have a Hall of Famer up there in the same category is wild to me. I get the appeal that people have for Kirk McLean. He was a very good goalie. That doesn't mean you can't still have him in the Ring of Honor as the sort of other great goalie in Canucks history. But Roberto Luongo, without a doubt, is one of the top 5 players in this team's history. Certainly far and away the best goalie, and he's gotten the top honor you can get. So the fact that he's sort of a second tier honor here, it just feels weird on its own. But in the end, like I said, the standard's there. He's a Hall of Famer. Put him in. Put him up. Hang him up.
Now, when it comes to, because we got a lot of this yesterday when we were talking about it, some people believe they just honor too many numbers anyway with no cup.
Yeah.
Well, where do you stand on that?
I mean, to me, if you were going to start again, I wouldn't have a retired numbers section. To me, I've always liked how the Lions have their wall of fame.
Yeah.
The way they do it, just say, here's a guy that was important to our history. We're going to recognize it. And I think that's, to me, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's kind of how the Leafs used to do it. And God forbid I praise the Leafs here, right? But the Leafs traditionally always just recognize people. They said, oh, the numbers aren't in circulation, or whatever. But they didn't really care about, we're retiring the number. That's sort of the thing that, it's of its era. I mean, you look in St. Louis, they've got a bunch of guys that their numbers retired. You're kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
But what it should be is recognizing the importance of the player or the person to the team's history. And that's how I would do it. And I think that way you avoid these arguments altogether, because in the end, most players don't win a cup. I think that's an unfair standard in the modern NHL. I mean, the Canucks, of course, should have won a cup by now, which speaks to the sort of overall sort of success level of the organization. And, what fans know is that they're never going to win. But the reality is that this is a team that has a lot of good history, has a lot of great players, and they should be recognized. But I am in the position there shouldn't be 2 tiers. I think that just makes it too complicated.
Pat, quickly, where do we go from here? People are talking coaching change. People are talking a big trade. Like, in your eyes, what's got to happen here? You got to feel that Rutherford's losing his patience at some point.
Well, I mean, in the end, you look at, I think J-Pat nailed it. Like the points pace that they now have to hit through the rest of the season is higher than the pace they played at under Boudreau last year.
Right.
So, okay, they're going to be in the conversation for a little bit here. They're going to plod along. But what do you want to be? And this comes back to things we've talked about so many times. What does this organization want to be? Do they want to just kind of be, we'll play a couple playoff games, we'll be around? Or do you want to be one of the great organizations, which was the conversation 10 years ago? If you want to get back to that, you need to get aggressive in everything you do and stop sort of muddle along. You've got to make some hard decisions. And certainly we've heard the idea that they would like to make some hard decisions, or that they're willing to make some hard decisions. But the time is coming. Bo Horvat is an example of that. JT Miller was another example of that in the summer, that these are guys that, as much as you may like them right now, you need to think about what you're trying to build here. Are you trying to build a team that's going to be a contender in next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Or are you trying to build a team that's just going to kind of be good enough and plod along and sell some tickets and, whatever? And if that's what they want to be, then fine. But that's just not interesting and not exciting. And I think fans deserve better. I mean, we've seen, as I said, there have been teams in the past that have gotten close. This is an organization you would think they would have won a cup by now, but in the end, they've never gone hard enough, fast enough, for long enough, and they need to make that happen. And if that's going to happen, they need to make some hard decisions. And in the end, you can, like I said, you can sort of hope and pray that maybe you'll get on a little run. But even Jim Rutherford himself said, if we win 5 games in a row, that gets us back in conversation. Well, here we are. But he said, I don't know if we have it to sustain it. And here we are. They played 2 pretty poor games this week. And, they're on that edge, and you can fall off one way or another. You can get good, things can go well, things can go badly. But if you're just trying to walk that edge, that's just a road to nowhere. And I think it's time to get aggressive. And I've said this for a while now.
Thanks for doing this.
Hey, stay straight. Have some fun.
Always a pleasure.
Good luck. Good luck. You got half an hour to go. Good luck.
Thanks, I'm trying my best, Patty. Okay, Patrick Johnston, great guy. Better than the first guy we had on today.